We're an internally managed net lease REIT focused exclusively on the cannabis sector, and that's the state legal cannabis industry. Our strategy is to provide real estate capital to this burgeoning cannabis industry for properties used for cultivation and retail. We were founded in 2019, we went public in 2021, and our ticker is NLCP, NewLake Capital Partners. We own 32 properties across 12 states with 13 tenants. Our tenants are some of the leading operators in the industry, names like a Trulieve, Cresco, or Curaleaf. Among those 32 properties, we have 15 cultivation facilities, 17 dispensaries, and if you measure it by the amount of capital we've put out, roughly 92% of our capital is in the cultivation facilities because they're obviously much larger than a retail facility would be. We've invested over $430 million. We have a weighted average remaining lease term of 14 years, and we have a weighted average yield across the portfolio of 11.7%. We've grown our quarterly dividend by over 70% since our IPO in 2021, and recently we announced an increase to 43 cents a share for the second quarter. And as I said, that's a 70% increase since our 2021 IPO. And our AFFO payout ratio for the first quarter was 79%. So a strong and growing dividend with strong coverage ratios. So we've been a REIT since inception. And really, let's talk about the thesis of our story. It was to provide real estate capital to a growth industry that was less understood by traditional real estate capital providers. And that allowed us really to get above market yields and allows us to continue to get above market yields. There were few providers back in 2019 when we started the business, and interestingly, there are even fewer today. Now, let me give you a corollary to the strategy that we're pursuing here and the opportunity we see. If you think about data centers or cell towers back in the 1990s, these REIT subsectors were really less understood and less trafficked by the traditional real estate industry. And so similar to those sectors, those early movers were able to get above market yields. And as those sectors became more understood, the equity market started to value those cash flows on a more robust basis. And so if you looked at implied cap rates for this industry or for our stock, you'll see that we're trading in the low double digits on an implied cap rate basis. Equity REITs in general will trade more in the mid-single digits. And so there's a real opportunity for us and our investors. Yes, well, it would be that we're in the early stages of converting the illicit cannabis market into the legal channel, the state legal channel. So most estimates are that the total cannabis industry runs somewhere around $100 billion, with only less than a third of that being in the state legal market. And so this cannabis industry isn't about creating a new product or getting consumers to adopt a new product. It's really about getting consumers to modify behavior from acquiring their cannabis products in the illicit market, moving to the regulated, safer state legal market. And so that's a long-term trend that we're playing. And in fact, when you think about today, only 52% of the US population lives in a state that has legal cannabis, adult use cannabis. Over time, that's absolutely going to be moving upward. And again, converting and moving this market to be the fulsome market it could be, up to $100 billion. Well, there's a lot of risks. This is still a relatively young industry. The operators in the industry are figuring out product mix, form factors, the evolution of the consumer journey, what are the consumer preferences. And as a result, you do get variations in earnings across the sector and even from quarter to quarter. So a lot of these companies still have a lot of maturing to do in terms of the product set, but also in terms of the financial industry. And also, as a result of cannabis being federally illegal, the industry suffers from a very onerous tax regime. And right now, most of the companies in the industry are paying upwards of 50 to 60% effective tax rates. And with the opportunity to reschedule cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, if and when that finally occurs, we'll see these companies revert to a traditional corporate tax structure, thus freeing up significant capital. But while they're suffering under this onerous tax regime, it's having an adverse impact on cash flows for the businesses, and the companies have had to adapt to that. I believe what sets us apart from our peers is the people. And when you think about the team that we've pulled together for this business, it's individuals with backgrounds in real estate and cannabis and financial services. You know, when we started this business from the very beginning, we saw the opportunity, but we realized very quickly it wasn't really just a real estate business. In order to be successful, we knew that long-term, you really needed to understand the cannabis sector. So let me give you a few examples of the people involved in our business. Our chairman, Gordon Dugan. Gordon was CEO at WP Carey, largest net lease REIT in the world. He also was CEO at Gramercy Property Trust and took that business from roughly a 400 million market cap to sale in 2018 to Blackstone for over $7 billion. And so Gordon has decades and decades of real estate experience, as do some of the other board members. From a cannabis perspective, Peter Cadens, who is the co-founder and CEO at Green Thumb Industries, arguably one of the best run and most admired cannabis industry companies in the industry. He's been on our board since the inception. As well, Joyce Johnson. Joyce is the lead independent director at Air Strategies. Air is a top 10 operator in the cannabis industry. And so by having people like Pete and Joyce on our team, we've been able to institutionalize their knowledge and really develop an underwriting approach that is rooted strongly in fundamentals around real estate, but also is complemented with the knowledge that's necessary to make the right decisions around a very complicated and fast-growing cannabis industry.